Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Say. This is Rabbi Levin, and the program is the Fear Kashas, heard each and every Wednesday evening at approximately 8 p.m. on 620 AM Radio Talkline Communications Network. If you have a header for the internet, you can see these programs videoed and archived on the Fear, F-E-A-R, Kashes, Kashes.com. Please spread the word and be part of this Torah revolution. Rabbi Say, I have to begin this program by asking Mechila and apologizing Barabim to Agudah asking Reb Chatzkel Bennet. My information was that he was officially supporting Lou Fiddler, who's running to replace State Senator Kruger in the special election March 20th against a Russian-American by the name of Daniel Strobin, who is good on all of the moral issues. I was wrong, and Mr. Bennett is not in any way officially endorsing or supporting Mr. Fiddler. And for this mistake, I beg Mr. Bennett's mechila berabim, and I stand corrected. Mr. Bennett is a fine askin, and I'm sure he does things l'shem shamayim. Having said this, let me explain as follows. The Torah tells us that Ruvain was considered to have done a terrible act with one of his father Yaakov's concubines, his wife. Of course, the Chazal explained that Reuven did no such thing. He merely moved the bed of Rachel that Yaakov had put into one of the other Imahois's tent. He moved it to Leah. And for this seemingly small offense, the Torah for all times brands Ruvain as if he did a terrible sin. In other words, according to our level, we are held to a higher standard. And thus, I want to explain respectfully but firmly to Mr. Bennet, Chatzkel Bennet, and to many others, especially those who are all Orthodox Jews in general, but befrat those who are associated with yeshivas, or Moetzes HaTorah, and especially Agudas Yisrael, that has represented the Moetzes Gedolei Torah and the highest level and authority of Frumkeit and Yiddishkeit, that we can't play a game. Mr. Fiddler represents a threat to us in the state senate. There will be many bills coming up that have to do with hashchasa, transgendered bills, bathroom bills, education bills, all kinds of chazarai. And we know that Fiddler has a terrible record, and chances are that once he's ensconced, he'll do what he wants. And even if he'll throw us an occasional bone and knot, we won't leck any honey from him. And therefore, whether or not a Yid officially endorses Mr. Fiddler, to speak with him, to maintain open channels with him, to advise him to go on Yeshiva World News or anything, so that he can say, wink, wink, blink, blink, Chatzkel or somebody else is not supporting me officially, he's not endorsing me, but I have open channels with him, he's giving me some advice on what to do, he's friendly with me, etc., etc. Halonu ata olitzarenu. This is very serious stuff. I've explained many times from this forum that Mida Keneged Mida, the amount of molestations and abuse which Rav Avigdor Miller said clearly back in 1984 in Misparim when he spoke on my behalf of my congressional race at the Beis Yaakov Auditorium. And he said, referring to the Mandrua situation, that this chazarai will continue, molestations, etc., as long as we support politicians. It's now over 25 years, over half of a yovel later, and we see the problems. And by the way, P.S., I want to give a shout out and thank you to Shimon Gifta on his Gaga Blue website. He interviews a young man who davens frequently at Landau's, who claims that he was beaten up because of a certain Jew, an Israeli Sephardic Jew or whatever, who he says goes around picking up boys to molest them, and when he refused and when he complained at a certain point, so the son of this person and somebody else came beat him up. You can see the video, but this is just what I'm saying. There's no question there has always been molestation in the community, but the molestation has increased tremendously because the more there's a ruach hatumah of turning the other way and ignoring the whole Mishkav Zohar hashchasa agenda, the more we're going to suffer. And therefore, when Leon Goldenberg, who always hosts the Aguda meetings with politicians in his offices, and he's officially standing with Fiddler, this is also an embarrassment. I'd like to know if the Moetzes Gedolei HaTorah was questioned, if Rav Aaron Schechter was asked if Leon Goldenberg is allowed to support Lou Fiddler. I'd like to know. I would like to know. My dear friends, Hashem probably won't accept all these kunstlich excuses. I'm not officially endorsing, I'm not officially supporting, but I talk to him, I support, I give him an eitzah, dos, and Jens, because after all, he might be the next. And how can we afford to turn him off? He's done so many chasadim for us. He should have been turned off a long time ago. All of the Jewish organizations, and I don't care, my good friend Rabbi Shia Hecht, no matter how many times he tells us, he came to Crown Heights every day, the road to Gehenna is paved with good intentions. You understand, nothing can overcome supporting the Amalek agenda. We have to understand this. And Fiddler, when he was a little Zeitmer Moichel, before he became a Groiser Knacker, at the very beginning he should have been shown by our community. He can't. So you allow a monster to build up, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. We can't do anything about it. We can't afford. What happens if he gets in? He might get in, Taka. So what? In former times, it says in Tehillim, Ki Olecha haragnu kol hayom, we would kill ourselves for Hashem every day. And the Chazal give an example. Where are you going? I'm going to Mala, my son, to circumcise my child. And the Greeks or the Romans say it's forbidden, and they're going to give me a death sentence. Now, what are we called to do? Not to support, not to chanfa. Oh, but he gives money. So what? God gives the money, not Lou Fiddler, oxen. How many times are we going to go through this already? The more we support the Znus agenda in any way, so we're getting poorer and poorer, more Yidden are having financial hard times. The more we support the shmutz agenda, the more Yidden, the more kids are going to Tarbis Ram being molested. Wake up and smell the coffee. Learn hashchasa 101. Harama. Oh, I'm not officially, but I'm this, I'm that, I'm talking to him, I'll give him a good idea, I'll smile at him. All of this is unacceptable. This is a war. Halanu ata olitzarenu. Are you on our side, the side of God, or are you on the enemy side? Yes, I'm bringing God into it, because God holds that Amalek is his enemy, Midar Dar, and Rashi says that Amalek is Mishkav Zachar. I want to recommend the Chilul Chatzos of Beitar and the Rosh Chilul, Rav Yeshua Meir Deutsch, who's now in America. He's here now. If you need a segula of any sort, how about funding Loin Dei Torah and Tikkun Chatzos in the middle of the night in Eretz Yisrael HaKadosh? It sounds like it's a powerful thing. Write down this number and see if you can give Rabbi Deutsch a few dollars for the Chilul Chatzos. He has tens of people learning, who are Yereim V'Shleimim, people who are Rabbeim, people who learn in Koil during the day. Rabbi Deutsch's number is 646-403-3750. I want to also extend kudos to Agudas Yisrael of America, and in particular Agudas Yisrael of Chicago. A few weeks ago, I got a call that in Chicago, on the Sunday of January the 8th, it was advertised in the Skokie Yeshiva newsletter that the CRC, the Chicago Rabbinical Council, headed by Rabbi Gedalia Schwartz, formerly the Rav in Borough Park of the Young Israel, and the head of the Bezdin of America, that they were going to have a session addressed on Sunday evening by a Rabbi Dardick, a YU modern guy from Oakland, California, and Rabbi Barry Ferrandel, a scholar from the Georgetown Synagogue in Washington, D.C., to speak about compassion and tradition to homosexuals with their race. And all this is, for those of us who understand, it's mamish to push the Mishkav Zachar agenda like Levovitz did when he had a table at the International Nefesh Organization of Mental Health Professionals that Rabbi David Cohen spoke up on Shabbos, spoke against. So this is another thing. If a major rabbinic organization sponsors, so I left the message at Agudas Yisrael, and all I could tell you is it was late in the game and I didn't believe it would be stopped. I myself called Rabbi Gedalia Schwartz at his home on Wednesday. I had a conversation with him. We said, look, we're not going to stop it. And he tried to fa'em for a little bit. Rabbis have to know how to deal with this. I said, if they have to know, you're not mefarsim it, and you don't make it open to the public. You have a private meeting for rabbis, and you tell them how to deal with people who have a Mishkav Zachar problem. But these guys, at least one of these rabbis is a lefty, and the other one wrote a decent paper back in 2000, but who knows where he's holding today. I think he's the rabbi who is matter Joe Lieberman to be Mechal Shabbos on occasion. And P.S., by the way, not to jump to Indian, but Jack Lew, everybody's so happy, a modern Orthodox Shemesh Shabbos, is now the chief of staff of Obama. If we look at Obama, we understand what Obama is. Ilu Zachina, we wouldn't have a Fruma Yid near to him. The fact that a Fruma Yid is near to him doesn't only mean, yesh lanu b'malchus, we have a brother, we have a contact, that's what everybody's screaming. But why should Hashem put a front man who has to do the most for Obama's everyday stuff and the issues and the things he's doing is Achem Vei to America? We're happy that it's an Orthodox Jew. If we had a good hashchasa, we would be crying. This doesn't reflect on what kind of a person Jack Lewis. He was Mekadosh Shem Shemayim when he wouldn't pick up a telephone on Shabbos once for Bill Clinton. Although now already the modern Orthodox rabbis have told him that if you have a call from the President of the United States, you're allowed to pick it up. I don't know if Rav Moshe Feinstein or Rav David Feinstein, Yavad L'chaim would agree. But the point is, you have to know how to look at things hashkafically. Is this a day of happiness and pride for us? This is a day of sadness that Hashem is linking the Shem Torah mitzvahs with Obama when he's such a threat to the whole country, bichlal, and to us, bifrat. Hamevin Yavin. Why should we be proud that Lou is going to facilitate this? And by the way, he's quite liberal in the political write-ups about it, but I wonder where he stands on family values. Anyhow, I also want to give kudos to Agudah Yisrael because when I left the message, and the mice I heard that Rabbi David Shmel of Aguda was very active in Chicago, and the last minute they canceled this. I myself had given up. Rabbi Schwartz said, we're not going to cancel it. That was Wednesday night. Saturday night, Moetzes Shabbos, before the Sunday evening affair, they sent out emails and canceled it. This is Baruch Hashem a victory, and I thank Rabbi Zweibel and anybody from Aguda who was involved. I also want to give kudos to a Lubavitcher Shliach in New Jersey and to a Mrs. Carr who was featured either in Mishpacha or Ami. Both of them donated kidneys to people. They're the biggest heroes. It's the biggest Kiddush Hashem. I also want to tell you that a judge ruled recently that a Christian facility can't ban same-gender civil union ceremonies. The name of the judge, that hilarious, was Salman A. Metzger. You understand? He says the Constitution allows some intrusion into religious freedom to balance other important societal goals. The societal goal of Mishkav Zacha, marriage, is more important than the religious freedom. What's going to happen? What's going to happen here by us, Rabbi Isaiah? I want to just say that the first bill that they're going to introduce now in the Assembly and the Senate is the same-gender marriage bill. They already have civil unions in New Jersey. Now they want marriage. And I'm calling publicly on the Lakewood Rosh Yeshivas and the CEO, Rabbi Aaron Kotler, to be proactive in this thing, to go start lobbying right now, all their legislators, against this. Let the Gary Shears and the other ones from Lakewood and the one from Passaic and the Passaic Rosh Yeshiva should tell their people to lobby against this and to speak out against this, and they should proactively meet now with Governor Christie, koydem achet, not the last minute react. Be proactive. It's coming down the pike, Lakewood. You have an achrayus to use all of your strength to defeat this thing. This is Rabbi Yehuda Levin, Aguten Talmud.